Hi guys, I know it's Hage, so I'm here to give you guys a manga review, which I just basically got done. I just basically just got done, and I know, as promised, I promised you guys I would basically get the time to finish this, finish reading this, which is basically called Isekai Samurai, and I would personally would definitely say this is a very good manga. See if I can get that little focus. I don't know if you guys can see it really that much. That's what basically what it looks like. That's what the back. That's what I'm give you guys a chance what the back looks like, and I'll give you guys a chance what the look, how the front looks like. I have this person definitely say I'm very impressed of the way of this manga really actually is. I'm very extremely impressed, and I'm very impressed the way the story of the premises, basically how like basically that it goes and stuff like that. It kind of reminds me basically kind of like a style, basically like kind of like a horror based kind of style, maybe like a little bit basically like an action based with gore and stuff like that and basically and stuff. It does feels like it has more of a darker side based on the story, and it basically really basically feels to me, and it feels like basically to me. Oh, one second, something. One second. Okay. So, anyways, it feels like to me it has basically a very good premises based when it comes to basically know what it means to how to be a samurai and what it doesn't mean. Basically, the cruelty of the nature of basically just being a samurai and basically stuff like that. And I would personally would definitely say here is that when you come across somebody that who's basically that's been in the military or been in or whatever that services or anything like that or whatever it is and stuff like that, you don't know what's the mental state based on the person based in their mind and stuff like that, and you probably would basically question that, is that person stable or is that person really is not, or is that person really basically just not really basically right in the mind or something like that, or maybe that's just how they were trained, or maybe that's how they basically really were. Take as for instance that person, like let's say like go to the army or marines or navy or anything like that. They were trained to do their basic training, and that's what they're trained to do. Sometimes people take things kind of very personal when they're going out there on the front lines. And take as instance for her, I'm not sure if her name is Mako or Genko, or name her name Genko or Mako. Genko is basically she's pretty much is the basically the main female protagonist basically in the manga, and I kind of like the aspect that she has like two samurai swords that she really basically just has. What the manga is based on presence basically of that basically in here in this manga, it really premises basis that she was trained to be a samurai. She was trained to know how to harness not her powers or anything like that, even though that samurais really don't have any powers, no superhuman powers or anything like that, but they basically don't. But they have to be trained basically in a certain different way when it comes to basic of a clan, based of a clan. Let's say, as for instance, who is as for Naruto, as for basically of a great example, Naruto Uzumaki, his Uzumaki clan is basically under the heavy influence based on his mother and also his father. That really basically gave him a gift, which is basically a gift that basically a gift that can be a abomination, or it can be basically a gift of friendship, or a gift that can help out, that can really basically help out. Take as for Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke Uchiha is a great example. It's a great example. The Uchiha clan has been going through generations, and they have really has taught themselves to really know how to learn how to the Sharingan in the eye and stuff like that. How they can see in other different aspects and stuff like that, and how they can learn to interpret it, their abilities and stuff like that, and based on that they know how, because they know how And basically to do those kinds of things and stuff like that. And sometimes the Uchiha clans, personally, in my opinion, they can be very cruel, basically in a kind of a nature. And sometimes they can, sometimes they really can't. But sometimes they are the kind of people that you don't want to run into because they can pretty much basically just gore your heart out or basically just off with your head or something like that. And basically that goes basically what it feels to me. When it comes to basically to the aspect basically in this manga right here, basically as for a girl like herself, she is basically Genku is a girl that she can be kind of menacing basically in a situation basically kind of menacing in a situation, but she doesn't really label herself just basically being a hero. I don't think that she's really based not just based just being a hero, but she's based just based out there that she wants a challenge. She wants a challenge. That's what she really definitely wants. She wants something that could be worthy of her to basically be a challenge. That means she will do almost anything just to go out there, just to kill almost anything. If you go back into the parts of the manga where she was trained based on her father, that she killed her own father. The reason why she did that, she killed her own father, is basically because it completed the ultimate test. The ultimate test means is that the ultimate test did the teacher surpass the student, or did the student surpass the teacher? In other words, basically, I don't mean to spoil. It's basically that she has surpassed her teacher. It means that she basically killed her father because her father knows how to basically wield a blade to be a samurai because her father has pretty much has trained her to know how to be a samurai and other different techniques that she really basically that she uses to make herself the not more vulnerable or anything like that, to make herself the very strong, very powerful base in such a way. But you have to remember, samurais do not have any powers or anything like that, but they have different things that they definitely have when it comes to techniques and stuff like that. And they have to have a right sword that's passed down through their families from generations through generations through generations through generations. If you go to the mythological space of samurais, there's a lot of samurai swords that's been passed down through generations. I mean, years and years and years that are worth a lot of money, or basically are worth that some people that basically really definitely do have and stuff like that. And I want to personally want to say here is that when it comes to basically being a ninja or a samurai or learning karate, you have to know exactly what you're doing. You have to know the basics and stuff like that. What you're basically really basic that you really actually do it. And sometimes people that collect things and stuff like that when it comes to you know from ancient different times and stuff like that. Sometimes people can take that things very extremely personal because that's part of their history and that's part of their heritage and stuff like that. And I wanted people to really understand that and stuff like that because if you basically are just basically just going out there just acting like an idiot and just saying like, oh, I got a samurai sword, I can just do that and stuff like that. People will probably look at you, probably will look at you, and probably will definitely say you are being very, very disrespectful because of the nature and the history that they really definitely love. People probably over in Japan, they probably take their history very personal, and they probably do. I was always told that if you basically go in Japan and stuff like that, you don't want to make eye contact to them because they're not shy or anything like that. They have a different trust factor that basically to me is basically that they just like to mind their own business. They don't like to poke into other people's situations. But if you were to poke into basically other their situation, then they will probably get very extremely upset, and that probably will tell you something that you don't want to hear, and that probably just or maybe personally, maybe possibly even that they could probably boot you out of the country and say like you're not allowed to come back here ever again. So I think with the grand scheme and all different things and stuff like that and stuff, to really to understand the premises when it comes to this manga, and when it comes to the heritage of Genkwen, of basically who she is, of Isekai Samurai, to understand the culture that she really definitely actually is. There's basically one of the parts I saw very gruesome, I mean very extremely gruesome in the manga is I have to personally definitely say where she bases that she's going into battle, where she's basically going into war, and she pretty much has slain almost every single buddy, not everybody, excuse me, everybody based on the battlefield. What that basically means is that what that basically means is that she had nobody else to fight. She has nobody else who gonna that was basically that's what's gonna fight. In the legend, basically of this that people are basically a folk's tale or basically kind of like a rumor or something like that. She was the only samurai basically in that war, basically in that battle that survived. That means most of her people, that her allies, are dead. All of the people that she slain are dead. I'm not joking. She was the last samurai basically was standing basically in the midst of that um, in the battle. It kind of reminds me of the Tom Cruise based kind of movie of The Last Samurai. The Last Samurai was basically the very last samurai that you basically would never will see ever again in mythological history, basically in Japan or other different countries or stuff like that. Sometimes basically people will probably prefer the last guardian, the last guardian, or the last gladiator, the last great warrior, the last great the last great ninja, or whatever it is, or stuff like that, and stuff like that. If you go to passive histories, there are people that has done really heinous things, or has done really heroic things and stuff like that. And I want to say this also as well too. I want to say this as well too. I don't label American soldiers as heroes. That's my opinion. I think that they are more than just heroes because they are just human beings based there. I definitely do want to say this also as well too. I definitely do when I go to Walmart or other different places stuff like that. If I see somebody basically that served in the military or has been through a war, past different wars, I go up to them, I shake their hands, and I say thank you for what you did, for our country. Because you know why? Because that shows the dignity and the respect that I have for the dignity for my country and stuff like that. But if I were to basically if I was based in a different country, I would basically would definitely say I respect your history, and I just want to say thank you for what you did for what you did to serving your own country and serving your own country. But when it comes to Gekko based as for itself, she's very proud of her heritage. She's very proud of her stance. She's very proud of what she basically believes in because the way her style as basically as a samurai, because she's very premises because what she believes in. You can't change a person because the way she really actually is. In some ways that she can possibly that she can't change. But if you take this for example, for an aspect, if you were to basically see a tiger or a zebra or leopard or like far as an animal, if you basically see them that they their generics of their body, you probably would question yourself like, what the hell just happened right there, you know? And yeah, then you probably would say like, how does the zebra change the stripes? It will be impossible. There's no logic way. I said this many times before that you cannot, a zebra cannot change a stripe. A tiger can't change a stripe. A leopard can't change the spots. If I saw an elephant turn blue, I would probably go bonkers. I probably would. I probably would because the elephant looks like it's gray, and it really actually is. If I saw a dog turn green, I would basically go crazy too. But that's just the general of their nature because that's just basically what they actually are. But when it comes to basically with her, Gekko, basically herself, yes, she can change, but she's still a very pinnacle of herself of a samurai. Now, I also want to say this also well too. Parts in the manga also well too addresses also the fact that she went to go meet Buddha, or I would say pray to Buddha. That's something. That's something that people definitely do worship, and that's something that people definitely do pray to. There are some people based over in other different countries that do not believe in God. They don't believe in God, but they worship a different God, and I do definitely do respect that because basically back then, back in my time. In the past, when I was at school, we were at like at a park, and we were just relaxing, just having a good time, and talking, having a barbecue and stuff like that back in my school and stuff like that. And then I saw somebody who was an Oriental basic kind of person, means basically an Asian basic kind of person. And I asked her, I said like, hi, how are you doing? She said like, hi, nice to meet you and stuff like that. I thought that she was really nice and stuff like that. I asked her like, do you believe in God? She goes like, I don't need to answer that question. I said, oh, well, I just wanted to ask. She goes like, well, okay, well, I'll tell you, but you may not like what I'm going to say. And she told me, she said that I believe in Buddha. I said, oh, maybe you shouldn't believe in that. I think you should believe in God. And then she didn't really say nothing really to me back at me, but she gave me kind of a starring look. A starting look where it just basically feels to me that where a look a look basically of that tells me kind of like, please don't tell me to believe what I don't want to believe in. That's what basically feels to me. If you were to basically go up to somebody basic like that, that's not a good thing. That's a really bad situation. You don't do that. You don't approach somebody and say something like that. Maybe you should believe in God, and maybe you should believe in other different things, because you can't change the aspect basically of a person, because that's just the respectful basic kind of the nature of basically what they believe in and what they see. What they see. If a person believes in Buddha, let them believe in Buddha. If a person believes in God, they believe in God. If a person doesn't believe in God, then a person doesn't believe in God. If a person believes in Islam or whatever it is that they believe in, you have to respect that. If you cannot respect it, then you're being disrespectful. Personally, in my personal on view, but I definitely do like the aspect that she asked Buddha, that she says Buddha, like I can't live with my life anymore. I want to die. I want to go to hell. That's what she really basically definitely wanted. But however, Buddha basically granted her wish. However, did she really actually go to hell? Did she really actually die? The question is, I basically want to ask myself, in a way, I definitely do think that she did die. However, she got transported into another world, which is basically called Isekai Samurai. Samurai means her. Isekai means that she got transported into another world. That means she went to be transported into a basically of a different world. Gecko is basically that she really doesn't really understand the whole premises basically in this new world that she really actually is in. She thinks that she is in hell. She thinks that she really actually is, but she see things a lot more different than from her homeland. But you got to remember, as for Samurai Lake Space for herself, that she came from Japan. That she came from Japan. Now I don't know the name of the world. Basically, maybe I really remember or anything like that. I really don't know. Um, Basically, I want to say this is that she's basically in an isekai kind of world. Means that her world is much more different than the world that she's really actually in. Right, actually, it means that there's monsters, fairies, or elves, or anything like that. Basically, in general, and stuff like that. Basically, in our world, we don't have that basic kind of stuff. But sometimes people will does basically like, oh, I wish that would happen, but it's not. And basically it's not. And when she got transported basically into another world, and in other words, I definitely do think that she did die because she was begging Buddha to put her in hell because what some of the things that she did and stuff like that. And I want to say is I want to backtrack also well too, that when some of the folks people saw her and stuff like that, she really did not communicate with anyone really much at all. One thing I want to personally want to say here is that I will definitely will say I want to backtrack what I'm saying here is that when you mess with somebody that's gone through a battle, you don't want to talk to a person basically like that because the person has a strict high standard when it comes to PTSD. To be honest with you, based with her, she does have the aspect of a PTSD, just like a soldier go out there on the battle or whatever it is that they go through. That's something you don't want to mess with a person like that because you don't want to mess with a person like that because if you do, yeah, there's other different things that's bad things can really could possibly could happen. And I definitely do think this shows a very good premises based of that. But it does have that mixture of that style, basically kind of like horror, basic anime horror manga, basically kind of like mix of a berserk, basic kind of a situation. But if you look at the different aspects of the manga based on itself, the description based off her, she does kind of look like she's from um I I'm trying to remember Kashi, no, not Kashi, Ronin Kenshin. She kind of looks kind of like Ronin Kenshin based kind of way. And I definitely do think this manga is heavily inspired of the aspect of basically kind of like a Ronin Kenshin based of different kind of style, but it's really unique. It really actually is. Now, I want to definitely want to say here is that when she goes transported into another world, she sees monsters, she sees different things that she really definitely doesn't really actually see, and she definitely doesn't really actually knows that basically the mythical of different legends and stuff like that, basically as heroes. Heroes is basically like when heroes are basically a myth of legendary heroes or basically really are not. Because in the Isekai world that she's in, that she really does not know what it means to be a hero or anything like that. But I would personally would definitely would say she does love helping people that people basically are in need because that's just the basically a samurai would do. Sometimes there's samurais that would basically just kill innocent people. Sometimes samurais people would basically would help people just for the sake of justice, for the sake of justice. For the sake of just whatever it basically actually is. But then she runs into a person named Mako, which is basically a very charming, very beautiful, kind of like a girl. Seems like kind of like a lolly, basically kind of like a character. One thing I want to personally want to say about her, she's a very bubbly, very kind of character, but she doesn't really understand the premises basically of Gecko because Gecko is basically a samurai because Mako doesn't know what a samurai really actually is. Really actually is. Now, one thing I find it kind of funny is that she really did not explain to Mako that what is a samurai supposed to do. But if you really think about what a samurai actually do, that's what basically of different things what they're supposed to do. Either they're supposed to defend, or either they're supposed to kill innocent people or whatever that maybe is, or stuff like that. So based off of that. But if you do want to understand here, I would recommend this is something very important. Never ever touch a samurai sword. Never ever do that. That is something I would definitely say here is that I definitely do think that's very extremely important for people to really understand because if you do that, they may not like you for doing that, or they'll probably just straight up and just kill you and say like, and they'll probably just straight up and kill you and say like, I don't like you doing that. So you need to get permission to somebody to touch that, to touch their sword. If they say they don't want you touching that, don't touch it. Don't put your hands on it for whatsoever at all. That's my opinion. That's what I definitely do think. Now, basically, later into the premises based on the manga, she ends up Gekko meets a nun, which is basically a nun, like a Catholic, basically kind of like person, but basically she's basically an elf, and she has been cursed. She has been cursed by the snake, which is called the king of snakes, Beliscus. I definitely do think what's called. And basically, to me, is basically that she slays the snake, and she basically slays him, and basically that the elf or the nun person, she was up basically on the verge of death. She was basically cursed, and basically, I don't know what may have happened or something like that. I don't know. Maybe she probably got bitten or something like that, or maybe it's something that she must have did wrong or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't think it didn't fully explain that, but I don't know if it really actually did. But I one person will definitely say here is basically that she did get go and did slay the snake. She slayed all three of the heads of the snake. Wow, that's really something else. Really something else. But with the techniques and the stuff like that she has, she knows how to kill. She knows what she's doing. But also put in this space for his perspective, Mako really doesn't understand, and really does not know about what's happening to her master, because she does particularly does know, but her master, or I would say it not her master, I will say her mistress, she doesn't want her to know the full extent of basically what's going on. If she were to basically find out, then she'd begin to panic and stuff like that. But she does definitely has a soft spot for Mako, really a lot, because they know each other for a long time. Very long time. Now I am planning on buying volume number two. I don't know when volume number two. I think it comes out sometime this month. I definitely want to get it. I am so hooked on this manga. I really am. And I have a feeling this would get an anime, possibly maybe in the future. I don't know how many chapters this manga really actually is. The whole premise of the manga, from what I definitely know, I think there's maybe like 22, 23 chapters. Maybe still ongoing. Maybe it's still actually. I hope it is still ongoing. I don't know if this is a weekly manga or this is a monthly manga. I'm feeling this is probably a monthly manga, and I'm really kind of wondering if we're going to get an anime out of this. That is something I really am very kind of curious of. I definitely do think there's 5 volumes based of this. However, there's only 2 volumes are basically being published based in the United States, and I definitely do think volume number 3 will not come out until sometime next year. So yeah, I definitely do think that the manga is definitely is good. It's definitely very good to read. It's worth getting, to me, in my own opinion. I definitely would get it. Definitely would get it. But if you don't like this, and if you don't like the style based on Berserk or anything like that, it may not be for you. But if you definitely do like that, I definitely would get it. Now, some people would disagree with me with this and say like it's nothing compared to Berserk or anything like that. To be honest with you, I never read Berserk. I'm not really much into horror, but I would think about maybe diving into it. I'm thinking about maybe getting the mangas and stuff like that, and I'm thinking about maybe getting this. But to be honest with you, this right here, I definitely would get to buy. It does has that premises. It's dark. It has a gore, and it does have some fan service also as well too. It does kind of reminds me in a way of a Berserk kind of style. That's my opinion. That's what I definitely think. But yeah. Anyways, that's it for this manga review. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys like this manga? Do you want to buy it? I highly recommend that you would. It's up to you guys if you guys want to or not. I definitely do think it's something to be something to get yourselves into. But yeah, and what's the sun? I'll see you guys later. Take care. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to subscribe. Please consider subscribing. Please like them, give me thumbs up or give me thumbs down, and please leave a comment below. And so I love you guys. Take care. Hope you get a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye.